All right, welcome. We're going to fly some helicopters, kind of show off how much better I've gotten, I guess. So we're doing a little show off video. It's not great. None of this is going to be an amazing flying, but it's gotten a lot better from what I've done. So what we're going to do, we're in the OH-58, the Kiowa, and I'll pull up the Kiowa here. This guy, cute little helicopter, very light, used for observation. It's an OH observation helicopter. So nothing super fast or crazy. But what we're going to do is fly off to a waypoint that's kind of off in that area, which is a helipad. And we're going to try to land as smoothly and accurately as possible. And then if we can do that, then we'll jump into the AH-64, which is the Apache, and do the same thing. And we'll see, the difference in skill that I have between the two. I've been flying more of the Kiowa than I have the Apache, but the Apache's a lot more twitchy too. But so let's get this thing started up. I think it's really cool that in this sim, you can like all the buttons and knobs that you see, like they do something in the game. It's really kind of neat. They did a really good job. But so let's turn on our ignition circuits, our fuel something or other, our anti-collision lights, and our battery. The battery on, we're going to start getting some beeps and bops and boops with cautions and stuff saying everything's failing, because obviously everything's failing. We just turned it on and nothing's moving. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start the engine. And there's our first beep and bop. Turn the key, move the throttle to idle. So this is cut off. You can see the orange line is here. We're going to move it forward and then back. And then now we're in idle. And then as soon as we do that, we can start the engines. You can hear those coming to life. We should see the rotors coming ahead. Beeps and bops. There's the rotors starting to spin. Okay, with that going on, we're going to turn on some useless things we don't need for this flight. That thing. HF radios, this, this and this. And then that and that. A lot of the stuff we don't need, but all right, we're gonna move this down to RPMs. We're looking for this to kind of all stabilize. After everything is stabilized, we can come over here, turn on our electronic bus, AC and DC, and DC circuits. And we need our fuel pump as well. There we go. So with all of that going, we can pull up this. This is our kind of our flight display here. We have our radar altitude here, our altimeter altitude here, and then our airspeed is here. So you can monitor all that while I'm flying. I'll also bring up my controls in the lower left screen. This here is our cyclic. This is our anti-torque pedals or rudder pedals. And then that line there is our collective. So you can kind of monitor all of that. All right, so to get ready for takeoff, we're gonna move our cyclic a little back and a little left. And then our anti-torque pedals a little left. And that's just gonna kind of combat the normal forces that happen as we start to take off. But before we can do that, we have to increase our throttle. So we'll do that. Okay, we're not 99, so we're going to do this little inker-dinker switch here. Bring us up to 100 to trim the engine to 100 RPMs, which we got. We'll clear our faults here. Make sure they don't come back. We have a little chiclet here that lets us know we're at 100 RPM, which is great. Our torque level is 27% right here. So that's our torque. So we have our torque here, airspeed, airspeed, radar altitude, altimeter altitude. We're heading to this waypoint here, that little circumflex or caret off on the tape here. So we're pointing this way. We got to look right to go that way towards our waypoint. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and take off and do that. So I'm going to add some collective. As I do that, I'm just going to try to get light on wheels and kind of gauge how the aircraft is going to behave. So there you can see we went to the right a little bit. I need a little bit more anti-torque pedals. And, whoa, little messy. Let's see if we can stabilize this thing. Oh, I know why. I'm gonna bring it down. I forgot to add in the stability controls here. There we go. That'll be a little easier. Yeah, it's a lot smoother. Alright, so instead of taxiing to the runway and taking off, we're just going to go straight to our waypoint here. So I'm going to pitch down on the... oh, little over torque. Pitch down on the cyclic so we get some forward air movement. And we're heading about 60 knots. We've transitioned through ETL, or effective transitionary lift. So we're going to need, the faster we go, the less left cyclic we're going to need to combat the torque of the rotor blades. With some, you know, the wind veining is going to kind of push the, you know, the back tail wheel or the tail in position, so we don't need to fight it with the tail rudder or tail rotor. So yeah, here we are. We're heading at a good cruising speed, about 80 knots. We don't want to go too fast in that, but you can see our torque is set to 95, so I'm kind of pushing it. But we are very heavy because we have lots of rockets, and I'll go ahead and arm them and arm the gun. And that's it for rockets. That's all we had. Switching over to guns. You can see them ricocheting off the ground. It's kind of fun. Alright, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to land in this and get better at doing what we're supposed to be doing. Flying the helicopter. So as we crest over this hill, we'll see the landing zone or helipad. Off to the left here. One thing with the Kiowa I noticed over the Apache is how smoother it is. Like, I can do a lot more movements with my cyclic. So if you look at my cyclic, you can see how much I'm moving it here, and it doesn't really move it that much in the helicopter. That probably has more to do with the stability assist. But in the Apache, it's very, very touchy. And you'll see that. Like, my flights won't be as smooth. I'm about to start to make out the helipad. It's right here. And we're going to land at the lefternmost helipad. There's 4 on there. We're going to land on the leftmost one. So in preparation for landing, I'm going to reduce the collective and pitch up so we're not losing altitude or anything. Well, actually, we need to start losing some altitude. So I'm going to do that. As I reduce the collective, I'm reducing the torque. So I got to add some right anti-torque pedals to combat that, so we're still heading in the same direction. So we're slowing down, right? So we want to get to about 40 knots and start descending here. Probably a little bit more. And kind of line up for that leftmost helipad there, the brown box. And I'll be talking less as I'm doing this. As we get into ground effect, we're going to need that torque, and we're going a lot slower, so we're going to need a lot more left anti-torque. Alright, that was smooth, and we're on it. We're not dead center on the H, but not too shabby. Alright, let's go ahead and we'll jump into the Apache. Okay, so here we are in the Apache. We'll do a little preview of this thing. Much more sexier helicopter, if you ask me. But a lot more finicky and harder to fly. So we're going to start by closing the door. We'll turn on the key and turn on the APU. And there is an auxiliary power unit. There's actually 2 engines we're going to have to start here, so it's a little bit more involved. We're going to skip a lot of steps here just to get this thing airborne and do what we got to do. But there's a lot more involved to getting this thing up and running fully. And then our co-pilot gunner over here, that's John, that's where you're going to be sitting. And you're going to take care of all the stuff in the front seat. Alright, so APU is on, so we're going to start one of these engines first. So there's 2, so we're going to start that guy. Add some throttle. And start to see the shadow of the blades are starting to move. So yeah, there's 2 engines here, so you have some redundancy, which is kind of nice. And because of the 2 engines, you're not overpowering any one engine too much. Alright, waiting for that to kind of settle. I'm looking at the temperature gauge here. I think that's time. Alright, we'll go ahead and start the other one. It's always kind of hard to see. And now we'll add in some throttle for that. So we'll get rid of all the red. And when then both engines are started, and we go up to 100% on the throttle, so we'll move it up to here, we can turn off that noisy APU. Alright, we got rid of the red. We're waiting for the temperature to kind of settle down, everything kind of be happy. It seems so. And at this point, we're probably skipping so many steps, but we'll go ahead and throttle up.
Rotor RPM low.
Alright, and then we'll turn off that noisy APU. Oh yeah, that's so much better. Okay, so again, let me bring up the controls. In this case, they're in the top left. You got my cyclic, the anti-torques, and then the collective over here. So again, coming back in a little left anti-torque before we raise the collective. We'll get light on wheel brake off. And this has wheels instead of skids. Start heading towards where we need to go. And as soon as I get, I'm going like 70 knots already, but as soon as I get settled in here, I'll explain the displays so you can see what we're seeing. But it's very similar. Okay. We have altitude here, airspeed here, torque here. So already we're going faster than the Kaya was. And we're only at 70% torque. So we can even boost it up to probably around 90. Get going even faster. $125 knots. So, you know, much faster than the Kiowa. But we'll head to the same area and try to land as well. We also have this symbology here. This is our velocity vector that shows us where we're actually flying. Here, let me get over these trees. Ugh. That's where we're heading towards. This is kind of our momentum. The line is showing us where we're heading. Oh my gosh, I need my hand on the cyclic. All right, let me get this thing trimmed out. All right, so we should be seeing already, I can see the helipad right here. So we're gonna have to start slowing down pretty rapidly. So I'll reduce the cyclic and pitch up. So I do like the Apache better. It's a lot faster, but man, this thing is finicky. Like, small, tiny movements translate to big movements. You got to be very, very careful. So we're still going like 40 knots. I'm going to start slowing us down. And I don't want to head backwards. I'm already in a hover. I landed too early. Or got into a hover too early. A little aggressive on the slowdown, but you can see a lot of yawing going on the left and right. That's the anti-torque pedals. They're just so sensitive. I don't know if my curves are wrong or what I gotta do, but let's gain some altitude and try this again. So I got some piloting skills that need to happen on this guy before I'm ready to put warheads on foreheads. But we did it. And we'll do a F2 on that. That's not too shabby, right? It wasn't terrible. But that's what we get. And we'll open the door. I don't know how to open the door, actually. I haven't learned that yet. I don't know where the... Oh, is it that? Yep, okay. Cool. All right, thanks for watching.